Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Newsroom. I'm your host Mahal. But today is the 8th of April 2025. These are the stories that we will try to understand during the course of our show. We'll begin with the trade wars between the US and China and how they are impacting global economy, and of course the trade war that is also not only impacting economy but also global strategy and geopolitics. This will be our first segment. Our second story, ladies and gentlemen, will concern Pawan. Online will be joined all the way from China by the CGTN correspondent Zhen Chunying. Zheng, thank you very much to have joined us. And in the studios, we've been joined by Fahim Sardar, who's the leading economist and the CEO of Tangent. Thank you very much, Fahim, to have joined us as well. We'll begin with you, Zheng. What, in your point of view, are the primary reasons for this initiation of the trade war between China and the US?
From Trump's administration, what he claimed is that he would like to make American great again, which in reality was not the case. We see that a lot of U.S. companies are leading the decline in the share market, and we expected in the JP Morgan, the trade hostilities between the world's two largest economies led to more negative and more pessimistic forecasts of the U.S. economy and the global economy. So I think Trump wouldn't make America great again through his tariff. And many economists also hold the opposite view as well.
Stay online with us. We'll go towards Fahim. Fahim, Trump says in Truth Social post, and I'm going to quote it, if China does not withdraw its 34% increase above the already long-term trading abuses by tomorrow, 8th of April, that is today, the US will impose additional tariffs on China of 50% effective 9th of April, that is tomorrow. Isn't this happening? All of this that is happening, I mean, if you look at the timeline that began in February, then March, then last week, then this statement by Donald Trump, isn't all of this happening at the detriment of global economy that will eventually suffer if it's not already suffering?
Thank you. Without doubt, this is causing a kind of turbulence which will be very difficult to stabilize. When we talk about a small economy facing a tariff war, that's something different. But you've got the two giants getting ready to have a very fierce confrontation, which will eventually lead to a currency war at some point. But right now, if you look very carefully, there is no country on earth that has ever grown through tariffs. There's no country that has ever grown by protectionism. It is through productivity. It is through the creation of value. It's basically the reversal of, let's say, taking manufacturing back to America in certain lines and pieces and whatever. But one of the biggest strengths of China is that China has been the manufacturer for the world. And then China started to innovate as well. You can see it on multiple fronts. Electronic vehicles, be it chips, be it other aspects. Because we've got a chip war going on as well. Let's not forget that. That's been sidelined for the time being. But just to come back to what you're saying, it is to a massive detriment to the world economy. The World Trade Organization is about to crumble because when major member states do not follow their own, I dare use the word legislation, then the organization doesn't exist anymore. Everybody's talking about free trade agreements. Everybody's trying to bypass the system. Moderate to smaller sized economies, it's my professional assessment, they might be able to readjust themselves a little more easily. However, they're going to get caught up in this tempest as well. But when we talk about the two largest economies now, I mean, they're coming head to head. This happened in 2018, if you recall, and we have to bear in mind that the results weren't good. Just by trying to increase cash inflows into America is not going to make America great again. It's going to cause multiple other issues. Right now, as we speak, there are protests going on in America. And when you raise, a final point for this sentence of mine, whenever we raise tariffs, we raise costs to our citizens.
All right. I mean, that's a very interesting point, a very logical point as well. Zheng, coming to you, these tariffs imposed by the US on Chinese goods, how have they affected the global supply chains?
Yeah, I think the effect is enormous. Well, first of all, the most immediate, most obvious effect is that it raised the cost for U.S. importers of Chinese goods, and that would probably lead to higher consumer prices. So at the end of the day, our consumers are those who are going to bear the cost. For example, the electronics, machineries, and so on and so forth. And also, it also reduced the profit margins for the companies. And to offset those tariffs, these multinational companies might think of, diversify their manufacturing from China. And honestly, it was part of the strategy by American company like Apple, because after the first Trump's administration, it planned to diversify its manufacturing from China, to move part of its supply chain outside China. However, when you look at the so-called reciprocal tariff to countries like markets like Vietnam, India, or in Thailand, where Apple diversified its supply chain too, there's nowhere to escape. So that's why Apple is leading the decline among technology stocks on Thursday, and also smaller businesses struggle to absorb these tariff costs or adapt supply chains, which also have led to market consolidation and reduced competitiveness.
All right. How has China retaliated as far as the U.S. reaction is concerned on the tariffs, and what has been the fallout?
Oh, first of all, China imposed a retaliatory 34% tariffs on all imports from the United States, which is going to take effect on April the 10th. And that is more sweeping than its earlier reciprocal actions. And Beijing has responded to previous levies swiftly and more moderately, imposing relative retaliatory tariffs on only targeted U.S. imports, but this time all imports. So we can see that we can see the stronger action, and also as part of the retaliatory measures announced Friday, and hundreds of millions of people in China celebrated a major public holiday. The country also added 11 American companies to its unreliable entity list, including drone manufacturers, and put export controls on 16 American companies to prohibit the export of Chinese dual-use items. And the Commerce Ministry also announced so-called anti-dumping investigations into imported medical CT X-ray tubes originating from the United States and India. In addition to that, Beijing also unveiled export controls on 7 types of rare earth minerals to the United States. And last but not least, China has also filed complaints with the World Trade Organization as well.
I'll come to you as far as the World Trade Organization is concerned, but Fahim, coming to you, Trump takes aim at Beijing's economic practices on social media, criticizes its non-monetary tariffs and illegal subsidization of companies, says that all talks with China concerning their requested meetings with us will be terminated. But he says that the negotiations with the other countries which have requested meetings are going to take place immediately. Isn't this a discriminatory practice happening?
Yeah, whichever way you look at it. I mean, it's of course discriminatory, but it's also a negotiation tactic. It's there to build pressure on China. You see, it's extremely difficult to build pressure on China. You can't just do that, because there are 3 countries on earth that have their own policies. One is China, one is America, one is Russia. They have their own policies. You cannot force them to accept something. And we have to just step back and see. In 2018, I just want to compare very quickly. In 2018, it was like a point-specific trade war situation. Here, it's been like a blitzkrieg. It's like an en masse. Everything 25% or above. Now, EU. Let's just step away from China for just a second. EU is, I think, contemplating higher tariffs than 25%. So we have this animosity in business, which is hardly productive. The results cannot be good for this, because the whole point of the WTO and previously to that GATT was to basically ensure that trade flows trade activity increases in a healthy, sustainable manner. And we remember what happened with GATT. GATT had lost its life because the U.S. wanted a WTO. Now countries have started, including China especially, they've started playing the WTO rules. Pakistan has started, by the rules. So I mean, if it's even for everyone, then everyone wins. But if 2-3 countries think that they can muscle in, or one country thinks that they can muscle in, it's going to cause a lot of turbulence in the international markets. And lo and behold, if you look at all the markets, they have been melting, and the American markets to begin with have lost, I think, close to $5 trillion worth of value. So we don't have a market run or a bank run right now, but I mean, this is not going in the right direction at all.
I don't know what the plan is. I fail to understand maybe the short-term aspect or the long-term aspect. But for the moment, we don't know what Trump has in mind.
I just want to say one thing, sorry, before you
complete.
It's not a reset. I mean, somebody said to me, Fahim, I think it's a reset.
No, it's not a reset at all.
Not a reset at all.
No, that's not reset. That I have understood. Zheng, coming to you, you were talking about the World Trade Organization. Now, how has this organization responded to these tensions between China and the US? Can it take some effective measures in your point of view?
Well, as we just talked earlier, China has filed a WTO complaint with respect to the United States measures, and citing that the new tariffs blatantly violated the World Trade Organization's rules. We haven't received any direct response from the WTO, but we do know that the WTO Secretariat has confirmed on Friday that it had received the request for consultations from China. And what's going to happen next is that bilateral consultations are the first stage of formal dispute settlement. And if no solution is found within 60 days, China could request a justification by the WTO. And we're going to keep track of it.
All right. Finally, I'd like to understand what are going to be the long-term implications of this trade war between the US and China. Will it affect the diplomatic relations between the two countries?
Yes, for me.
Yes, the question is for you.
I think the answer is definitely yes, because the economic cooperation plays a very significant part when it comes to the bilateral relations between China and the United States. And we know that China and the United, we are the world's two biggest economies. We've created, over the past few decades, we've created so many opportunities, win-win opportunities through economic cooperation and collaboration. So if there's really a decoupling or a so-called decoupling or de-risking, I'm sure that the effect on China-U.S. relations is going to be detrimental, and it surely will bring so much uncertainties to the bilateral relations, and it will even affect the people-to-people exchanges. From my point of view, I think for now, a lot of friends around me, they are not willing to visit the United States anymore, and the sentiment is here in the atmosphere. So. Well, that's, of course, is not in line with the benefits of the people in both countries.
I agree with you on that. Thank you very much, Zheng Chunying, to have joined us all the way from China, CGTN correspondent, giving us a point of view as far as this ongoing trade war between China and the US is concerned. Thank you very much to have joined us. And we continue with our second segment, but before I just wanted to add something to it. The discussion would have been long, but unfortunately we didn't have the time for it. Fahim had mentioned about the EU and the tariffs as well. There is a theory that Trump has a plan with several of his advisors with the goal of compelling America's trade partners to weaken the US dollar on the international currency exchange, and such a move would make American exports more affordable to foreign markets and would diminish the value of China's large reserves of US currency. This is just a theory, but I don't know how true or false it could be. And speaking of the EU, billionaire Elon Musk, who is also leading Trump's effort to slash government spending, has called for zero tariffs between the US and the EU over the weekend, but that has also called a lot of rebuke from others who, like the Trump trade advisor Peter Navarro, who dismissed the Tesla CEO as a car assembler. So there are infighting going on as far as this is also concerned. I would have loved to consider you